Welcome back, everybody, and to our final episode in the series where we are talking about digitizing your production records, your quality management system, and integrating that information throughout your business. And of course, the benefits of doing so, it makes it possible for organizations to adapt and grow, especially in trying times like the COVID pandemic that we've been in, rapid growth, or even adapting to market changes and changing products. We're going to first recap on digital production records, of course, one of the hardest areas of your manufacturing to truly go paperless and really grasp how to take that information from the floor into your systems to gain all of the business KPIs and true metrics to do continuous improvement. Then we're going to take a look back at the quality management aspect, specifically in the document management, SOPs, and the things we've all talked about. Of course, bringing that to the final need of any quality management system for digitalization in the cloud is how to validate and how to maintain that constant state of validation where you're sure and proofed that you're building a product that is full of quality, full of profitability, and able to meet market demand.
So with that, I'll introduce myself. I'm happy to be here on this final episode. I'm Brian Curran. I'm in charge of strategic growth at MasterControl. I've been here for quite a while, focused on QMS for the first 15 years or so, and for the last handful of years, I'm focusing on manufacturing.
And again, I'm Terrance Holbrook, and I have been with MasterControl for now 6 years, as of this week, actually.
Nice.
And I started out with the quality management in bill of materials and supplier, and worked with Brian in the manufacturing for the last 4 or 5 years or so. All right, so we're going to start with a recap on digital production records, Brian's specialty, and really look at why we need to take all the steps we talked about and really what we can gain by eliminating those silos and connecting those systems.
Thanks, Terrance. And starting with the bottom bullet, we want you to choose the right MX because of all the capabilities it provides. And so a lot of the other bullets will support that. And one of the things to remember is what we see across the market is just a proliferation of paper. We haven't done a good job as an industry, in the life sciences industry, getting rid of that paper off of the shop floor, specifically for your device history records, batch records, etc. So, as we've mentioned in some of the other sessions or episodes, one of the key benefits is eliminating the silos and connecting with disparate systems. So, connecting your digital production record or your shop floor with your quality management system, with your ERP, etc. If you're able to do this, you can do some of the things Terrance alluded to, especially during trying times like COVID. Trends happen over a course of many years for businesses. COVID is shrinking that into those trends are changing things on a monthly basis. So allowing a line extension possibly for those products that really are in high demand now, and then shifting resources off of those that aren't in high demand. Yep. Adapting to recipe changes, being able to get your product to market faster through the review by exception process. And what we mean by faster is instead of having products sit for weeks at a time, you can have that review process take 2 hours or even less than that.
Oh, exactly. And speaking of adapting quickly, we all have to wear masks now, right?
We do.
And watching the environment of masks adapt. There's a specific company out there. It's called Sleeves, right? They make the sleeves for sports and the leg tights, right, that are branded and have all kinds of cool logos and stuff on them. They adapted very quickly and started manufacturing masks almost overnight into the market, right? So being able to, like you said, expand that product line, be able to adapt is critical, and you can't do that without having those digital systems.
And a local customer of ours, Nelson Laboratories, also shifted. So they typically provided and tested products for life science companies, med device and pharma. They've shifted much of their business to testing PPE. So how good is that mask and how good is that sleeve? Yeah. They're providing the lab results for that.
All right, so you alluded to connecting systems, right? And again, one of the key elements to any good manufacturing is quality manufacturing, right? Being able to produce that part as intended and having that paper on the floor also ricochets through the quality management system. When you've got paper-based systems for CAPAs or paper-based systems for deviations, it's almost impossible for manufacturing to keep up in an environment. Let's say your supply chain has been threatened by COVID and you've had to adapt where you're getting materials from, and because of that, you've had to increase your number of deviations or increase the number of changes going through manufacturing. In a paper world, it's almost impossible to keep up. That's more of a reason to connect those systems between your production and quality environments.
So it's all about product quality, trying to avoid the chasing the folder scenario. It might be fun to have chasing games when you're in elementary school, but when you're in a real business, chasing the folders is not a fun game.
Well, you know, in manufacturing, how often when you're out there with those paper production records, it is kind of like that. It's like, who has the production record? I've got to add to it. I've got to do something. Yeah. You're in a digital world, those problems just go away, and you've connected those systems.
For me specifically, it's about product quality. Whether we're talking about digital production records or the quality management system, the one thing to keep in mind is it's not us versus them. It's really all of us trying to increase product quality, and that requires software on the shop floor and software in the quality office that are maybe sometimes up in the corner of the building that's overseeing the shop floor. Too often we view those as being separate systems, and so it's really important to increase the overall product quality, to look at a comprehensive system that stripes across your entire organization.
So you're talking about the culture of quality.
Culture of quality.
The culture of quality, yeah. Breeding that through the different systems throughout the organization. Quality isn't a room in the back corner, right? Quality is embedded through the process, and a properly implemented digital solution is going to surface that to the top. And quality will become the focus, not the afterthought, like in the paper production records.
So here, the continuous improvement, it's a little bit like the validation that we're going to talk about. For me, continuous improvement isn't a one-time thing or an annual thing. It's you do it literally like it says, continuously. And so when you think about the paper-based records or the manual processes, how do you go about continuous improvement when you only get data maybe once a month or once a quarter?
After the fact.
After the fact. Well,
Right.
too long after the fact
Yes.
for you to actually implement an improvement at the right time.
That's right. And again, that digital information at the point of consumption, where the operators are, where the quality people are, digital audits we talked about, right? Having that information readily available, digital customer complaints. We have a client that one of their requests from our digital system was to have an operator or a station when they're working on a certain product at a certain point to actually show the active customer complaints, because the operators do care. They want to produce that quality. And if you give them that live time information, it just elevates that heightened awareness of the culture of quality and drives that through the system.
And so it's on the shop floor, but we don't want to forget, in this heightened area of COVID, everybody's working from home, or at least the people that can work from home, which means if you have all your shop floor in paper, you don't know what's going on. So the visibility and transparency of a digital system allows your remote employees to oversee and see what's happening with the system, even if they're working from home or wherever they may be.
You mean quality can really become Big Brother? Is that what you're implying?
No, not at all.
But it really does bring, and we've seen this with the clients we've taken digital, it brings that culture aspect to the employees, and it really makes quality freed up to do what they really should be focusing on, not crossing T's and making sure a date was right, not making sure a calculation was done correctly, but instead making sure the outcome was promoted and really driving that product to a new level, right? And really looking at what quality assurance means, which means building that good product and shipping it successfully.
And that first bullet, we barely scratched the surface on. It's the data that can come from these digital systems, from the shop floor and the quality management system, connected with your ERP, correlated with whatever system you want. If it's digital, it's possible. If it's not, then it's just a whole lot of hard work trying to get that data coming out of Penger's boxes.
You know, we did have a client here locally again, that they actually used to take their paper information, their quality control checks, and have somebody transpose that into spreadsheets just so they could get the information so they could report on it. I'd actually never seen that until that one company, but it's extremely hard and painful, and now you've introduced another level of potential error, right? So
True.
digitization at the point where the information is used, consumed, and viable is the most important to that culture of quality.
So what is validation? It's an interesting question because it's much larger than many people will think about. A lot of people will think validation is another set of documentation. It's another set of paper.
Just that big?
Like, that is not the validation, or at least not the intent of validating. The intent of validating is to stay continuously validated, and there's lots of benefits. Constant state of compliance and audit readiness is one of those. Being able to look back in time because you were in a validated environment is another benefit. So it's really thinking about, how do I manage my change control process and stay continuously validated without thinking of it as, oh, I passed the 500-page test, or I've passed the 10-pound test of generating IQ, OQ, PQ documentation.
Yep. Well, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with one of our product managers just this week, and we were talking about what validation really means in the context of equipment. Because the interesting element, and again, digitization plays a huge part here, a piece of equipment's job is to produce quality product. The validation provides the evidence that it can. What calibration does, and maintenance and other elements around it, are to keep that equipment in that validated state, right? So we have all those tools to perform that. And it's interesting if you take that context in that fashion, right? Equipment has continual wear parts. Equipment can go out of calibration. And so you're constantly in this state of making sure that the process is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And that's what we really need to do in our digital systems as well, is make sure that the digital systems stay in that continual state, not necessarily the one-time event every 5 years when we decide to upgrade, right? The best type of digital system is a system that knows that it's continually producing good information, collecting good information, and portraying that information in a quality fashion. And that's something, you know, that validation has come up lacking in enterprise systems up until recently. And that's a step that we can now walk across the finish line because of the newer tools in today's world of validation, specifically in cloud environments.
But it is a mindset difference. If
Yes.
You talk to many people and you say you have to stay continuously validated, they think, I have to do that annual project every month,
Right.
every week. I can't do that. You have to change the mindset.
Exactly.
So here's some bullets to support that. One that I'd love to highlight is the risk-based approach, similar to the review by exception that we mentioned earlier. A lot of these are things that FDA is pushing for, and there are guidances that led us to go down this path, and so it should support the market as a whole going down that path as well.
Exactly, and that risk-based validation, that goes right back to staying in a validated state. If you're continually monitoring your systems to make sure that they stay validated, that's the risk-based approach, right? When you add new business processes, you compare them against your validated state and assess the risk and decide if you need to do something. Maybe we don't need to. If it's a low impact to the business, low impact risk, maybe it's something that we just need to look at very quickly and say, yes, there is no risk here, where something else may have a higher risk. That continual validation autonomously is the ultimate goal, right? Through machine learning capabilities and understanding how systems gather information, share information, and spread it. But it can be done in between at different levels.
And we don't have a bullet that I see that references our validation excellence technology, which is a tool that enables this. We probably should mention that as well. You can do it without the tool, but the tool makes it, like most tools, makes it way easier.
Yes, exactly. And the tool is adaptable throughout that range. You can choose to be more involved or have the tool take more of the risk load and basically lead your validation a little bit more efficiently.
So resources to help you do this. As we've mentioned in previous episodes, there are many resources available. We've listed just a handful of those here. I would encourage you also to look at the other episodes. They have pointers to additional information that you'll be able to leverage in your own project.
Awesome. And again, just touching on kind of what we went through, agile organization. So what is, of course, agile is adapting to change, right? We talked about continual change and validation, understanding the information as it comes from the floor, being able to adapt that into the process to create that culture of quality where you're driving that underlying element of, just cultural change is key to taking you to that digital age. And of course, digital production records are a huge asset there.
Huge. And being digital in general helps you scale. For some of our customers, they've experienced increased demand of 1,200% and 20 times, so 2,000% in some cases, as they've tried to adapt their organization to appeal to the demands that are new for everybody for the last 3 to 6 months. PPE equipment as one example.
I have a dad joke for you.
Go ahead.
So you know how you scale paper, right? You just grab both ends and pull real hard. So paper is extremely difficult to grow with, right? Paper doesn't move, right? Where a digital world can adapt and learn what you're doing, and it's actually much easier. Even though paper comes across up front as the perception of ease,
yes,
it really comes back to bite companies. And and we can help the resources again. We can help you get past those humps of how do you get from paper into a digital world. And of course, the key to that is being in a continual validated state, understanding the risks of the business and really using those digital systems to the best of their abilities and understanding the risk, which is really what the FDA is after.
Yep, and what we all want, which is increasing end product quality.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thank you all again, and thank you, Brian, for helping me close out this series. And we want to say thank you for watching, and you can, of course, go back and watch any of the episodes you'd like to at MasterControl.com. I want to say thank you again to all those that came on with me and helped co-present. Thank you again, Brian, for joining me on a couple, as well as Katie Farley, Aaron Wright, Kim Jackson, Rogers Talpeed, Dave Latimer, and of course our moderator, Jen Hurst. Thank you for doing such an excellent job. Thank you, and we hope you and yours stay healthy.